Hey there, my name's Daniel, and I'm the founder of Solidify Solutions, a fractional CFO and business advisory firm. In this video, I want to show you a couple of tools that I use with clients, provide to clients when it comes to raising capital. Raising capital often is done for startups to start a brand new business, or maybe the business is already established and you need an influx of cash to take the business to the next level or even get over a short term hurdle or challenge that may have occurred in the business for a variety of reasons. So, without further ado, I'm going to share my screen and we will dive right in. So, I'm going to show you first the cash flow optimizer. So, this is my proprietary software, my app that I've been developing. It has a lot of different tools built in, but we're just talking about raising capital. So, we're going to look at these first two tools. The first one is the startup and budget forecast. This is a very simple tool. Whether you're a startup or an established business, this tool can be really helpful in setting that up. So in this example, we're going to name the business. I made another video. Let's just keep the example the same. Brothers Moving and Fun, and it's a moving company, a service-based business. Let's say the business has been around for a couple years and you have 15 employees. And we're going to look at going forward from today, the next 24 months or 2 years out. So let's say as of now, our gut tells us that we think we need about $50,000 right now to meet our foreseeable future financial needs. We're going to plan on buying a truck. We need to buy a couple of heavy lifting harness specialty equipment, for example. So let's say we think it's $50,000. So put 50,000 in here, and we think that the business going forward is going to grow at about 5% per quarter in terms of revenue. So for the next 24 months, it's 4 quarters in a year, so 8 quarters total. Good. Next, right now, we think this month we're going to do about $10,000 in revenue. Let's make that higher. Let's say we're going to do 15,000. And right now our cost of goods sold is about, let's say it's more than 50%. Let's say 8,000 would be slightly more than 50%. Mainly for a moving company, that's labor costs, but this just keeps it simple. We know that we want to purchase some more office equipment, maybe a couple pieces of furniture, and we have a legal fee. We need to get some contract written up. We're going to pay our lawyer $800, something like that. And these are monthly expenses. So let's say our monthly office rent, let's say it's $2,000 a month. We spend, I don't know, $300 a month on utilities on average. Monthly salaries between the founder and your buddy who's the COO, you're each taking a $5,000 a month salary, just the two of you. That's $10,000 because our labor costs are in cost of goods sold. So we're only talking about salaried people in this example, in this inbox field. Marketing and advertising, $1,500 a month. That's low, but let's say that's what we're spending. Some money for insurance, software and subscriptions, office supplies, and some monthly professional services. Cool. That's a good start. So we plan on purchasing those specialty harness, heavy lifting equipment, maybe 6 months from now. That's month 6. And we plan on purchasing a used truck 1 year from now. That's month 12. So those are good. Those are big purchases. So this tells us that our gut feeling of 50,000 is insufficient. This is recommending we raise over about $98,000 in capital to actually meet our anticipated needs with our planned purchasing of some new equipment, our bigger purchases of that specialty harness and the truck down the line, and our monthly expenses. We can see that monthly, if our revenue is $15,000 a month, growing that by 5% per quarter, our cost of goods sold are going to stay in line with that as well. They go hand in hand. Your fixed costs are those business operating expenses, your rent, your salaries, your office supplies, all that stuff. And so you can see the cash balance fluctuates. By month 6, you run out of cash. Now, if your revenue is growing way faster, that might not happen. But if you're only growing at 5%, the revenue that you have currently relative to the cash you need is insufficient, right? This calculator shows you what it should be. So let's go back and put it at 100,000. What happens then? We say, let's put this at 100,000, see what happens in the calculator. $100,000 invested, leave everything else the same. Cool. 100,000. In this example, we actually by month 12 will still be insufficient, but then by month 24, we actually are positive again. So really we would need more, right? It goes negative because your revenue is growing, but you can't survive, right? For a whole year of not having any cash. So this is where we have to do some scenarios, play around with the numbers to see what is actually going to be the right number for this business. So let's put this at, 150,000 in this example. So let's say we're getting a private investor to actually join as an owner, a limited owner, so that they're not involved in the business, but they will have a good portion of the equity because they're investing 150,000 in this example. We can see the cash balance goes down and down, kind of fluctuates, flattens out around months 15 to 19. It stays in this $34,000 range, give or take. And then it starts increasing, right? Going up from there, the cash balance, because our revenue has been growing that whole time. So actually 150,000 was too much. So let's do one more edit just for example's sake. Let's say it was 125,000. What does that look like? 125,000, leaving everything else the same. Looks like the cash balance gets low around same 15, 16. It seems to be the months, the fluctuation in the cash estimated. So around month 16th, give or take, will be the point, if everything goes according to plan, that your cash will be lowest. And from there, it starts going up, your cash balance, because you're making your revenue grow, you're managing your expenses and everything. So this is a good tool for doing some scenarios to see how much capital you might actually need based on the needs of the business. Again, how much revenue you're making, how much growth do you anticipate your revenue increasing by, what's your cost of goods sold, how much are your fixed costs. Very simple, high level, gives you some great examples. Now, this other tool I want to show you is the capital raising tool. So this is the second one. We click on open tool. It's going to open this Google Sheet. I haven't yet built this into the platform. But this has 3 different methodologies of raising capital built into the spreadsheet itself. You could use a line of credit. You could use crowdfunding. Crowdfunding is best for like product-based startups, let's say, or this equity split model. Equity split model is a great way to approach giving equity to a team of people. Let's say it's 5 of you, either your friends or your business associates. You've been in the business, in the industry you're working in for a long time, and you're starting a startup. And you want to make sure each person gets a fair amount of equity based on what they're contributing to the startup. That looks like some people might contribute cash to the business, might be the hours they're working, the talents and skills they are providing based on their position in the company. Let's say, Jack maybe is the CEO. The market would deem a salary of, say, $250,000 for this person. Maybe John is the HR manager of this startup. We're putting him at, 75,000, keeping it a little bit lower. And then Joe is the COO, and we're going to give him a market salary of 150,000 or something. And what this does is it automatically calculates the math for the business, right? For the startup. So let's say that you do have 8 people on your team for this startup, right? People contributing time. Some people contributed cash. Some people might actually be giving equipment and supplies to the business. Some people might have real estate they're allowing the business to run out of, facilities, any intellectual property, and any commissions. And so you go to each person. E1 in this case is Jack. So let's change this name to Jack Jones. How about that? Jack Jones. And you see it changes here, Jack Jones. And if we go through each thing, you only want to change the yellow, the creamish yellowed fields here. Everything else that's not a yellow cream color, you leave alone, otherwise it'll break it. And what you can do is you want to create a copy. So when you view this tool's in the description below. Click on File, make a copy. When you make your copy, you'll be able to edit your own version of this tool. And in order to more fully understand how to use this tool, on this dashboard is the Equity Split Model Explained. It's a PDF document. And if you're thinking about doing a private equity type funding, acquiring private equity funding, whether from accredited or unaccredited investors, be sure to read this Regulation D PDF guide to have a better understanding of how those work, and always seek legal counsel to see which path would actually be best for your business, whether a startup or already established. Again, going back to Jack Jones, let's say he's the CEO, so he's making $250,000 if in the marketplace through an established company. We're going to give cash compensation of $25,000, so the salary at risk is $225,000. The math, it does it itself. If maybe you give him a 10% commission for any big jobs that he lands for this startup, whatever it is. I don't know. Let's say this is let's say it's a tech company. It's actually hardware, some kind of hardware tech-based company. They're the CEO. Their job is to be the visionary and to sell the business at a high level. But maybe they have a lot of good relationships, a lot of personal business relationships. They might actually early on be selling directly to consumers that they have relationships with. And so you want to make sure they get compensated for that. So we'll give them a 10% commission rate in this example, whether he sells or not directly. Working 40 hours a week, let's say he's actually working more than that. And maybe he has another business too. So let's just keep it at 40. Minimum minor working capital. Maybe he contributed $1,000 a month to the business or something like that. It gets some expenses reimbursed to him or her, made some cash contributions. You can play around with the math. It'll make sense once you get in and dive to it. There's so many detailed numbers here. I don't want to overwhelm you with details, but the point is this tool is very thorough. It's very comprehensive. So it really makes it fair. But let's do some quick math. So let's see, maybe he bought some initial equipment for the company and then every other month it should be zero because he never bought more equipment. I don't know. We're just doing some quick math here. There we go. And let's say, I don't know, just leave everything else the same. You can play around with this, right? So, and he's not the one that has the facilities. That's somebody else. That's like Bob or something. You can get in here, play around with the math. It'll make sense once you start playing with it. Point being, again, is all the math calculated on Jack Jones's tab, which in this case is E1, will at a high level populate here. So then when you do that for all people that are in this initial founding team, and even if like right now it's 3 people, Jack Jones, John, and Joe, and then 6 months from now, Jane joins the team, 9 months from now, Janice joins the team, and then a year from now, these 3 people join the team. The nice thing is that in the first year or 2 years or however long you want to use this for before locking in the equity portion, it will all be factored in fairly. And it'll reflect on this dashboard. Let's say 12 months from now, this is the math. Okay, that means the total value of contributions from people's time, people's cash, any equipment and supplies, any rent, any real estate they've let the business use, any intellectual property they've brought, and any commissions owed based on selling services or products in this new business. The total value of all these contributions, 0.77 million. Right? Well, then this tool will automatically calculate the equity portion that each person gets. So in this case, based on this math, Jack Jones would get 25%, John would get 10%, 12% goes to Joe, 11% goes to everybody else. And this way, it doesn't matter their position in the company. It doesn't even matter, like John could have been the founder. He could have been the founder with the idea. He put this whole team together, but based on contribution, right? Jack Jones is actually the one that got this 25% equity. And you can be creative with it, right? There's no hard and fast rule. You have to just use this model. You might be like, okay, John's the founder. He wants to make sure he has majority ownership no matter what. So he's taking 50% equity right off the bat. And then everything else, these percentages represent the remaining 50% of equity. In this case, then, I don't even know the math off the top of my head, but basically, well, I guess it'd be like 55%, I guess, roughly would go to John. I think that's the right math. Point being, you can play around with it, you can adjust, but this model helps keep things fair and it keeps it simple for you. If you're going to do crowdfunding, that's a fun type of funding to explore. There's some more flexibility that can come with that. Pros and cons. If your product launching a product, that might be a good route to go. That way you don't have to give up equity necessarily. Uh, Line of credit, often the first go-to solution for established business. Not always the best solution, but often the first path that a lot of business owners will go for. And this has three different scenarios of what the math might look like paying back or paying down that line of credit using different methods. Let's say you want to, for example, if you want to keep your payment flat every month, that's the third scenario versus paying two different ways. It's been a while since I've looked at these tools. Get in here, check out these tools, mess around with them. It's here for you for free in the description below. I know I kind of rambled, but I hope this is helpful. Great resource. If you want to know more, don't hesitate to reach out. Talk to y'all later.